What are your experiences and qualifications? I am a 35-year-old seeking to make a career change. I have no retirement savings and $10,000 in emergency funds. I am looking for others' experiences on how to succeed from here. I have experience in construction, sales, and hospitality, and I am interested in pursuing a degree in accounting. It is important to be likable, not just attractive. Story 1. Supply chain management. I have a team member who recently graduated from college and started with a salary of 77. She has 2 years of experience and her salary is approaching 85. Story 2. I am a nuclear engineer. I was making $102,000 straight out of college, and now, roughly 9 years later after a job change, I am making $220,000. I could earn more, but I chose to pause on promotions as my wife is expecting soon, and I need to be flexible. My wife is an aerospace engineer, and she makes $170,000. I'm not sure what her starting salary was, though. Engineering typically requires a 4-year degree. I have a friend who became a merchant mariner with a 2-year associate degree and a Coast Guard license after a career switch, and he started making over $100,000. Story 3. I changed my career from sales after a decade. Now I am a database engineer. I taught myself the skills needed for this role, with a friend helping me get started. Story 4. The oil and gas industry has seen significant growth, increasing from $80,000 to $150,000 in 3 years. I recently secured a new job that will bring me closer to the $175,000 range. Story 5. I transitioned from the military to electronics engineering. When I was about halfway through my degree, recruiters began reaching out, offering me $100,000 once I became a civilian. My father is a robotics engineer, and at his birthday party, his boss said, "If you join our team when you're done serving, I'll offer you $200,000, 10% matching, the best insurance available, and enough paid time off to make your wife think you don't even work. We can't find electronics engineers to save lives." Story 6. I have been working in accounting for about 12 years. It is definitely a worthwhile path if you seek something stable and well-paid. However, the work can be extremely boring and isolating, as accountants often seem like corporate office workers glued to their desks. If possible, try to obtain the Certified Public Accountant designation. Provides a significant boost in employment options. With an accounting degree, you could likely find an entry-level role earning around $50,000 to $60,000. Work diligently and excel in your tasks. Master Excel, accounting systems, a thorough understanding of debits and credits, and develop strong analytical skills. To earn $80,000 in 3 years or less, you will probably need to switch jobs. Unless you are fortunate enough to find a company that offers quick promotions and compensation at market rates, changing employers may be necessary. While it is possible to receive raises with promotions, companies can often be stingy with them, which is why seeking opportunities elsewhere can be more beneficial. After 2 to 3 years in an entry-level position, and perhaps achieving a promotion, you could secure a role as a senior accountant or even an accounting manager. Depending on the area, those positions can often earn between $80,000 and $140,000. Story 7. It isn't £80,000, but it opens up branches to build towards £80,000 and above. A few people I work with are on that mythical 6-figure salary. Private security. Get your security industry authority license and find a well-established company. A lot of my job involves guarding film sets and locations. It's easy 12-hour shifts paying around £3,000 to £4,000 a month. Long hours, sure, but it gets me close to directors, producers, and other members of production. You can either try this route or go in as a facilities assistant or a production runner, neither of which requires qualifications or degrees. Again, it starts with low pay, but getting your name out there can lead to more job opportunities, helping you to build your career. Story 8. I don't know where you are, but I joined the public service. I went from earning $0 in 2016 to over $100,000 in 2020. Story 9. I returned to driving a forklift in a warehouse this year and expect to earn between $65,000 and $70,000. Story 10. You can enter nursing in under 2 years with an associate degree, earning over $70,000 depending on location. After gaining a year of experience, you can begin travel nursing, which could lead to earnings exceeding $100,000 within about 3 years of starting your degree. High demand and hard-to-fill positions such as obstetrics, catheterization lab, and operating room typically offer high-paying contracts, sometimes allowing for earnings of over $4,000 per week. Much of this income is untaxed due to a significant portion being related to living expenses. All this can be achieved with an associate degree, which you can obtain at most community colleges, often at little to no cost. Story 11: Home Inspector. Unless you have a background in the trades, it will realistically take you a year or more to learn the industry and get licensed. From there, the sky is the limit. Working on commission with an existing company, you can expect to earn $75,000 in your first full year. Alternatively, you can start your own business, and you could make twice that if you are a savvy entrepreneur and can effectively market yourself. You will need to hustle, conducting around 12 or more inspections a week. Each inspection lasts 2 to 3 hours, followed by an additional hour or so for report preparation, along with drive time between inspections. Initially, you will work 12-hour days, but you will be earning a livable wage. Good luck. Story 12. I worked for a major accounting firm, though not on the accounting side. There was some luck involved. I happened to have a skill that they needed for their contracts, and I got an insider to submit my resume instead of going through the usual application process. The key was living frugally and investing every dime into my retirement accounts. I started with my 401k, then moved to an individual retirement account, and then to a low-fee variable annuity. When I hit the limit on one, I moved to the next. All my investments were in index funds, consisting entirely of equities for the highest risk and highest return. My friend said I was living in my car and eating cat food. He was right, at least metaphorically. I had no car and relied on public transportation or my bicycle for travel, living in a small apartment. But after 3 years, I left the job and lived overseas on a limited freelance income, choosing work that I loved. Story 13. Definitely not aviation. The expectation of achieving wealth ended decades ago. Even now that flight crew are more in demand worldwide than ever. I don't regret giving it a shot, but sometimes I wonder if I should have become a mechanic and fixed them instead of flying them. The experienced professionals at companies like FedEx may be looking at high six-figure salaries near the end of their careers, but they are biased towards former military personnel. Many have gone through 2 divorces, incurred significant alimony payments, and have reduced the time they have left to enjoy their wealth in retirement by drastically shortening their lives due to the relentless demands of the industry. Story 14. I have a statistics degree and started at a marketing analytics firm for $69,000 2 years ago. I am currently earning around $80,000. I am expected to be promoted in the next couple of months and may even exceed $100,000 with the upcoming raise. Story 15. Paramedic. Results vary significantly across the world. I earned $90,000 my first year, even with minimal overtime. Story 16. I make $70,000 now, but I am just shy of 3 years in my current role and anticipate a decent raise soon. My only regret is not entering the information technology field sooner. I wasted 8 years pursuing a different career, and it felt like starting from scratch when I began in information technology. Story 17. Following for later. Good information here. I would suggest cybersecurity. A couple of company-paid certifications and you'll be on your way, especially if you get into the auditing aspect. Story 18. I'm on track for $85,000 this year, and I only got my commercial driver's license in November and started work in December. I do local jobs, so I'm home every night. Not many commercial driver's license jobs are only 40 hours a week. Usually, they require 50 to 60 hours. Story 19. Police and firefighters in major metropolitan areas can earn over $200,000 by working overtime. My friend advanced in the police department and was making nearly $400,000 while rarely seeing his family, but that is an extreme case. Story 20. I believe hospital patient data stewards earn a salary similar to this at my hospital. They manage and maintain patient records, remove duplicates, fill in information, and verify details. It's a job with a low barrier to entry. Coding or programming skills are not required. At least in the team I work with as a master data management developer, they do not code. They mainly use various applications and follow established workflows. Check the career pages of local hospitals. I suggest this because I work in the industry, and I feel many people do not realize how many information technology and corporate jobs exist in actual hospitals and health centers. Story 21. If you don't mind sales, commercial insurance can pay well. The industry gets a bad reputation because not all sales jobs are great. I never have to sell to family or friends. I make my own schedule, mostly get a base salary plus benefits and commission. Best of all, you receive renewal income. Cons include needing a license, which is fairly easy to obtain, and the learning curve can be steep if you want to succeed. You may also have to work for a few different brokerages before you find a good one. Tips: focus on business insurance, as it typically has high premiums. Find a good mentor, an experienced broker who is successful and willing to show you the ropes. Work for a brokerage, not a captive agency like Farmers or State Farm. Avoid prematurely buying a book of business or starting an agency. Working for a brokerage is usually better because you can manage your own book without worrying about appointments with carriers. Consider starting in administration as an account manager, learning about insurance, and then transitioning to a producer role. This approach often has a higher success rate, though it may take longer. My base salary and commission at my last company were around $100,000. This year, at a new brokerage, it's about $155,000. I'm in Los Angeles, which is a different market, but there are businesses everywhere. I apologize for the lengthy post and am happy to answer any questions. I wrote this on my cell phone. Please excuse any errors. Story 22. Digital asset management. Trillions of photos, videos, audio, and text files coursing through the internet's veins. Story 23. Railroad locomotive electrician. Without overtime, working 5 8-hour days a week, I earn approximately $85,000 a year. Story 24. I am a construction estimator. I quickly reached a salary of $110,000 in 6 months, with at least one more raise expected this year. This amount does not include year-end bonuses or the fact that my employer covers 100% of my family's health insurance and fuel costs for my car, along with various other perks. Living in Las Vegas may provide a different experience compared to a small town. However, in a thriving city like this, one can earn cash quickly. Story 25. HVAC in the second year is about to clear $70,000. It requires a lot of overtime, but after 5 years, the pay scale is $56 per hour. It is a union position. Story 26. Work at a pulp mill. The starting salary right out of school is $100,000 to $140,000 before overtime. You can be a mechanical technician or a power engineer. Story 27. Semiconductor manufacturing technicians can start close to that salary without a degree. With a degree in science, technology, engineering, or mathematics, you could secure an engineering position that offers a similar salary right from the beginning. It is a good time for this career, since the United States is establishing numerous new fabrication plants domestically to reduce dependence on Taiwan for all semiconductor chips. Story 28. Steel industry. This will be my 4th consecutive year making over $100,000, and I have been at my company for 5 years. Story 29. I work in aerospace engineering. I completed all my training and qualifications on the job. My starting salary was around $40,000, and that was 7 years ago. I believe the starting salary is now around $55,000. With additional training and qualifications, you can easily earn over $80,000 a year. Most of my colleagues are making between $100,000 and $120,000 a year, not including bonuses and overtime. Story 30. Diesel technician. You will need to attend technical school, which you can complete in 9 months, and you must excel in your studies. Story 31. Software sales. If you are skilled, you can progress from sales development representative to account executive in 1 to 2 years, and that is where you can already earn a 6-figure salary quite easily. Story 32. I managed that as an architect, but you need a graduate degree and to work hard to obtain your license. Story 33. Auto technician. I have worked for a Toyota dealer for the last 11 years. In my first year out of technical school, I made $50,000. I became team leader within 2 years and started making $80,000. 2 years after that, I became the foreman and now earn $120,000. However, it can be a soul-sucking job if you are in any kind of leadership position. Story 34. As an elevator mechanic apprentice, you can earn quickly depending on your location. In Seattle, the starting salary is over $65,000. Story 35. Go find a United States contract job overseas. Most of the positions start at $75,000. It may not be in your field of choice, but it is all tax-free money. In the short term, it is very good. Story 36. I have worked in a mineral extraction and crystallization plant for 14 years. I earn over $110,000 a year, and we start around $60,000 with full benefits, including a 401k match and health insurance. The location is rather remote in western Colorado, but I prefer it to city life. Consider exploring opportunities in the oil and gas industry, the chemical industry, or manufacturing. Although relocation may be necessary, many locations offer a lower cost of living. Another option is the trades, as there is a significant shortage of plumbers and electricians in many areas. Completing an apprenticeship or attending a trade school could position you to earn a substantial income and possibly become your own boss in a relatively short time. Story 37. Depending on where you are, a union trade job in Boston averages around $120,000 per year, which is on the low end considering the insurance, pension, and annuity benefits. Most trades require a 5-year apprenticeship. Story 38. My first year in the oil and gas industry, I made $83,000, and I have never earned less in the 18 years since. I began with very little knowledge about anything in the industry. Story 39. I returned to school at the age of 29 to become an engineer. It took me 5 years to complete my education, and I am now 6 years into my career, earning $140,000 per year. Story 40. Being a paramedic allows you to start your career quickly. You can become an emergency medical technician in less than 6 months. After working for a while and earning around $50,000, you can attend paramedic school for approximately 1 year. If you are ambitious, this process can be completed quickly. Once you become a paramedic, your salary can reach around $100,000, depending on your place of employment. Story 41. I earn $120,000 a year. I joined a labor union which provides a pension, free healthcare, and a vacation payout once a year. The surprising part? I am a union member who sits behind a computer all day, tracking and purchasing inventory. Story 42. Data science is a field I specialize in, particularly within healthcare. However, this has a lower starting salary. Any level of programming, data engineering, or data science will place you at a similar salary level as a junior professional. Story 43. Cybersecurity consulting. Year 1, $45,000. Year 2 in job change, $60,000. Year 2.5, adjustment to $72,000. Year 3 and promotion, $90,000. Year 4, adjustment to $97,000. I am aiming for another promotion at the end of the year and hope to reach $115,000. It's a long way from the $9.50 per hour I used to earn at Subway just a few years ago. Story 44. The best advice is to stick to something you are either interested in or good at, and do not change jobs unless it is to advance in the same industry. Every industry allows you to move up and earn more money. If you are 35, I imagine you have had multiple jobs. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you haven't remained in one position for more than 5 years. It takes years to advance. I used to change jobs and chase money, but it wasn't until I was 28 that I realized I needed to stick with something. For example, I was expelled from school at 14 years old. I studied engineering, worked at a supermarket, joined a carnival, worked in sales, started a sales business, studied music, worked as a salesman, became an insurance trainer, started a business as an insurance broker, and became a representative for a distribution company. That's when I began labor hire, working as a mover on building sites, handling heavy items and rubbish. I was offered an apprenticeship as a builder. I committed to it and became qualified. Now, I own a building company and also flip houses. Stick to one thing, save money, and invest in something that will appreciate over time. Once you are skilled at what you do, work weekends trying to do it yourself while still working for someone else. It may take 1 or 2 years, but eventually you will earn twice as much on weekends as you do during the week. After that, you can branch out on your own and stop working weekends. It requires hard work and dedication. Ignore anyone who tells you there is a better or faster way. They are either scamming you with a product, jealous of your success, resentful of your progress, or naively offering poor advice because they genuinely believe the hype. 8 years ago, I started as a builder's apprentice earning nothing. Now, I am worth over $2 million in appreciating assets. Good luck. Story 45. Annually, you could earn $80,000 in the hospitality field, but that depends on your location. This line of work can be either very lucrative or significantly underpaid based on where you live. Story 46. You can succeed in sales or retail without a degree, but it requires natural charisma and a strong work ethic. Story 47. If you do not have a degree or certifications, I highly recommend starting in a non-unionized factory as a production operator. You can earn around $50,000 a year at entry-level positions. From there, focus on improving your skills, understand the equipment, and consider moving into maintenance. In a non-union environment, you may have opportunities to work overtime and shadow maintenance personnel, with management's approval. In a union environment, such opportunities may lead to grievances. Story 48. I sell security systems to brand new homeowners. The first-year earnings would be $80,000. No experience is required. Story 49. I would sign a request for an application engineer immediately. Integrating hardware with software is a specialized industry that can be highly lucrative. Story 50. An automation technician recently transitioned from a software degree. The role includes both physical and desk jobs, such as mechanical and electrical work, PLC programming, or machine safety, allowing for a customizable career path. Earnings range from $6,000 to $10,000 per month, depending on on-site support, which may involve being away from home for several weeks. Recently, I completed 3 weeks of 78-hour workdays in the US, primarily monitoring machinery performance from a computer. Story 51. Human resources position with no degree required. Earn $85,000 in 2 years. Work 5 days a week in an easy office environment with full benefits, plenty of social events, and additional days off. Join a Fortune 300 company. You would be surprised at how many well-paying office jobs do not actually require degrees. They are seeking individuals with real-world social skills. There is a high demand for people with these abilities today. Story 52. If you want to use your sales experience, I'm in business development for commercial insurance, and the upward trajectories for those who put in the effort are very high. You might not start very high, but where I am, they focus on investing in people who provide value and move them up in terms of salary and promotions quickly. Story 53. Be a teacher. I work 1,000 hours a year and make a little over $100,000. You do have to deal with challenges, but they are only short bursts. Story 54. Cardiovascular technologist. Obtain your registered cardiovascular invasive specialist certification, which can be pursued by registered nurses, radiologic technologists, or respiratory therapists, or you can attend a registered cardiovascular invasive specialist school, which typically lasts 2 years. You can earn around $80,000 per year in your first year. Story 55. Where do you live? Depending on the region, this answer varies significantly. Where are you willing to relocate? Story 56. I was making just under $100,000 a little over 2 years after graduating with a mechanical engineering degree. This was in 2013. Story 57. I just got promoted at Club Car Wash as the general manager, making $85,000. I've only been with the company since October. You may laugh, but this is the easiest and best paying job I've ever had. Story 58. Data analytics professionals, such as business analysts and data scientists, currently earn $100,000 as data scientists. I started in 2020 with a salary of $77,000 as a business analyst. Story 59. Facilities engineers, with no degree required, can expect an entry salary of about $75,000 per year. Experienced professionals can earn over $100,000. Story 60. I started in accounting with a salary of $57,000 in 2019. My current gross compensation is around $130,000 and is increasing every year. At my current company, I haven't had a raise of less than 10% in the past 3 years. Although I am no longer in an accounting role, I probably wouldn't have my current position without that background. It's worth mentioning that the barrier to entry for this level of progression is quite high. This is with a bachelor's degree and a master's degree in accounting, plus a certified public accountant license. I wouldn't expect the same advancement with only an associate degree in accounting. Story 61. Government contracting literally switched companies every 2 years and received a significant pay increase each time. Story 62. Utility services provide various benefits. Working for a contractor can be an option, but the best choice is to secure a job at your local cooperative. They have ample resources, excellent benefits, and they contribute significantly to their communities. Story 63. I work in public accounting and I am a certified public accountant. I work at what is widely considered the best Big Four firm for work-life balance, KPMG. Firstly, you are exempt from overtime. Working almost 60 hours per week for nearly half the year is extremely demanding. Anyone who claims otherwise is out of touch. That 60 hours refers to chargeable time, meaning only the time billed to clients. You will also have non-chargeable time, such as recording hours and attending firm meetings. 55 hours per week is the minimum, not the maximum, where I work in public accounting. Often, it ranges from 60 to 70 hours. I just quit after working there for about 2 years to search for another opportunity that has a maximum of 55 hours, as those do exist, but they are not the industry standard. If I had to do it again, I would not have pursued a career in accounting. The only way to advance in this field is to work more hours than anyone else. Our managing director works 90 hours a week for half the year. If you are entering accounting, you will likely want to become certified to secure the best positions that pay around $80,000 quickly. This requires a master's degree and approximately 1 year of test preparation to gain certification from the state board. That said, you can expect to reach an $80,000 salary in 3 years and 6 figures within 5 to 6 years, typically. The pay is relatively good and job security is strong, as certified public accountants are generally in demand. However, it may not be worth the sacrifice. Story 64. I have been an overhead crane technician for 10 years, earning about $110,000 annually. Initially, I would make over $80,000 with overtime, but I have since scaled back. I do not have a college degree, but I received on-the-job training. I already possessed considerable mechanical knowledge, but learning electrical systems was my biggest challenge. Story 65. Mortgages. I started during COVID when rates were low and earned 6 figures in each of my first 2 years. Even when rates increased, I continued to make at least $80,000. Story 66. Wind and solar jobs can pay well. Just search for wind or solar technician in your area. Story 67. I work in information technology. I earned $82,000 after about 2 years. I expect to reach $92,000 by November, which will also mark my 3-year anniversary. I sit in a comfortable chair in an air-conditioned room. If I do not receive a promotion, I will reach a maximum salary of $105,000 in about 2 years. Story 68. Industrial field service involves significant travel, but the compensation is reasonable. I hold a non-traveling position and return home every night with a base salary of $82,000. Those who are willing to travel can earn between $100,000 and $150,000. Story 69. Cybersecurity. I started at £25,000 2.5 years ago and am now earning £75,000, with another pay rise expected in 3 to 4 months. Story 70. Starting pay averages around $125,000. I have 12 years of experience and earn a base salary of $225,000. Story 71. I worked for the Federal Emergency Management Agency for a decade. I started at $53,000 per year. Thanks to a promotion and some certifications, in a few years I was earning $83,500. Story 72. I just started in car sales at Toyota last year. I have made roughly $110,000 in the 12 months I've been here. Story 73. If you do not want to go to school for a long time or have no interest in that area, let me share a secret. Consider the waste management industry. I have friends earning $100,000 a year just by driving garbage trucks, and many of these companies offer excellent insurance and benefits. Story 74. I am a mechanical engineer who joined with a salary of $78,000 in a fairly average low cost of living city. After completing a 3-year master's program, my salary increased to $85,000. Please note that I did internships with the company while pursuing my bachelor's degree, which took more than 3 years to complete. Story 75. I felt like a complete failure, with no college education and earning a 6-figure salary as a mailman. The more women and Generation Z employees they hire, the more I earn. Story 76. Not long ago, I entered the yachting industry. It's hard work, but you can earn a minimum of $40,000 a year without spending any of it. It definitely helped me get out of debt and provided me with savings and an emergency fund. Story 77. Not 80,000, but I went from a typical grocery store associate job making approximately $18 per hour to a department manager making $65,000 within 3 years. I do have a decade of retail, buying, and merchandising experience, though. Story 78. Petroleum inspection is an entry-level job that can easily lead to 6-figure earnings with the required overtime. However, you will be on call 24/7 and may rarely sleep more than 4 hours at a time. Story 79. ERP consulting for Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations placed me at $80,000 initially and helped me exceed $100,000 within 2 years. I had 4 years of prior public accounting experience, which significantly contributed to securing the position. The industry also values candidates with supply chain and manufacturing experience. Story 80 Finance. I work for a small firm, but the largest banks have analysts making over $135,000 straight out of undergraduate studies. It can be miserable at the highest level, though. Personally, I reached a base salary of $90,000 by my 3rd year. Story 81. $80,000 base salary with a 10 to 15% bonus after 3 years, working in data analytics and business intelligence for a Fortune 500 company. Additionally, living in Europe means the equivalent salary in the United States would likely be higher. Story 82. Outside sales for a large pest control company. I earned $80,000 in my 2nd year once I found my rhythm. It is not very hard to learn, and no college degree is required. You also receive benefits such as a company vehicle and phone. Story 83. If you're healthy and don't mind the hours, you can achieve this at the United States Postal Service. Letter carrying is a second career for many. You don't have to get another degree to do it. Story 84. Finance and accounting provide internal advisory services in government. It technically takes 3 years to earn that much money if you do not include schooling. Story 85. Someone will yell, "Not what we're talking about." I will still say it. My nephew works in production at a Toyota plant. He is a laborer, not a foreman or supervisor. He started at $25 an hour with a guarantee of at least 10 hours of overtime each week, resulting in an annual income of around $56,000. He only has a GED and has the potential to advance. Story 86. Building information modeling and virtual design and construction for construction. Not many people are entering the field, but it can be applied at all levels of the industry and will eventually become part of the process everywhere. Story 87. My friend works as a bartender in San Francisco at a cocktail bar and a dive bar, less than 40 hours per week, and earns between $80,000 and $90,000 per year. Story 88. Cybersecurity with approximately 2.5 years of experience. My first job after college was at an annual salary of $75,000. I worked there for 1 year before transitioning to a position with a salary of $100,000. About 6 months later, my salary increased to $115,000. It is currently the end of the year review period, and I anticipate receiving a raise to the $135,000 to $140,000 range this month. Story 89. I earned my degree in accounting and will be earning $80,000 once my raise takes effect next month, marking the beginning of my 3rd year after college. It is a stable career, and if you choose public accounting, the progression is quick and straightforward. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I always recommend it as a great career for someone looking to achieve an upper-middle-class lifestyle, but who may be uncertain about their work. Story 90. My first year after college, I started serving at a high-end resort pool after quitting my first day at a sales job. I made over $80,000 in that year and haven't looked back since. Story 91. Auditing for the federal government involves a step system of 7, 9, 11, and 12. You start at GS 7 and will automatically advance to GS 12 in 3 years, earning nearly $90,000 depending on your location. Starting at GS 7 requires a bachelor's degree, while starting at GS 9 requires a master's degree. Story 92. Any trade. Sit you at 100,000 Canadian dollars within 3 years in Canada. Do the work and earn it. Complete the schooling. Some trades take 3 years, some take 4. You could earn between $48 to $60 an hour at the end. Be on the tools for 10 years, then move into foreman, management, or planning, and increase your earnings further. Story 93. The railroad is always hiring conductors, and most positions start at a salary of over $70,000. Although it can be a challenging lifestyle, higher-level jobs offer competitive pay and favorable schedules. Story 94. Emergency medical services. There are 2 ways to scale up to $80,000 a year. Obtain your emergency medical technician certification and work a lot of overtime. Obtain your paramedic certification and work less overtime. It is very dependent on your area and department or company. In my area, emergency medical technicians start at $56,000 before overtime, and paramedics start at $70,000 before overtime. However, in some states, it is common for emergency medical technicians to start at $15 per hour or less. Story 95. Defense Aerospace Engineering Development. I am recently retired, but as I left, new college hires were starting nearby. Later life newly degreed engineers typically began their careers there but advanced a bit quicker. In my opinion, this was because they had already realized that work did not revolve around them and their wants, but rather what the business needed. Once they demonstrated competence, they could take on lead roles more quickly, which led to better promotions. Story 96. I am a chemistry technician at a nuclear power plant. I started with a 6-figure salary. Most of the industry began 40 to 50 years ago, so many professionals are retiring now, leading to job openings. Story 97. From the comments about various professions, it seems that I won't be making $80,000 anytime soon as a new mental health professional. It's disappointing to see that. Story 98. Urban planning, with a focus on rail planning in particular, was my chosen field. I entered the profession with a college degree, starting with a salary of $60,000. Within 3 years, my salary increased to $90,000, and by the 5th year, I was earning $120,000. Now, after 8 years in the industry, I make $152,000. Story 99. You need to get a little lucky with independent contracting. You are likely to earn $120,000 this year. You just have to stay off drugs, manage people well, and be prepared to put in some long hours to complete the job at times. Story 100. Nursing requires spending a year or 2 at the bedside. After gaining that experience, transitioning to travel nursing can enable you to earn over $100,000 after taxes. Story 101. I am a first-year mechanical engineer earning 99,000 Canadian dollars while working in a mine. However, my salary is not expected to increase significantly, perhaps 4 to 5% per year. Story 102. Consider becoming a train conductor or engineer. With a high school diploma, you could earn over $100,000 within 2 years. Story 103. I attended a technical school for high school and earned an electrical certification. Over 10 years later, I used that certification to secure an entry-level position at a union power plant. I started at $16 per hour but moved into a trainee position that paid $25 per hour. 3 years into the program, I was earning over $80,000. Now I earn about $120,000 and receive additional compensation through overtime. Story 104. 115,000 oilfield fly-in fly-out job in northern Alberta, Canada. Working 21 days on and 12 days off, it's a good opportunity if you don't mind some hard labor occasionally. Story 105. Cybersecurity. I made that choice the second I graduated. As an engineering manager, you're looking at upwards of $500,000 per year. However, the trade-off is that it's one of the hardest fields to enter. It's not for the faint of heart. It also requires a significant amount of learning outside of work to stay current with developments. Story 106. A biological engineer with 2.5 years of experience, earning $83,000 after transitioning to the utility industry as a transmission engineer in Florida. Story 107. Cybersecurity is a field that attracts many individuals looking to make a career change, especially given the financial opportunities and the remote work options that became prevalent during the COVID-19 pandemic. Many people have attempted to enter the field by attending boot camps. However, entry-level positions are flooded with applicants holding certifications like the Certified Information Systems Security Professional, despite the fact that these roles typically require 5 years of experience in cybersecurity and a current certification to validate qualifications. While there are still ample opportunities for senior security practitioners, entry-level positions are difficult to secure. Story 108. Union steel worker. My shop will take you directly off the street with no experience. You just have to endure the challenging working conditions. Story 109. If you have the ability to sell and are self-motivated, then sales can be very successful. It can also lead to management positions in the future. Choose a product that you find interesting. Good luck. Story 110. Low voltage technician. After a 3-year apprenticeship, you can start at $50 an hour. However, salaries can vary significantly by area. Story 111. I have worked in mining for the last 5 years. I had an unorthodox route, but my first job in my field of study, geology, had a starting salary of about $85,000. These days, I earn just over $100,000. If you don't mind hard work and long hours and do not have a degree, underground miners generally earn more than we do. You could make $100,000 in your first year, depending on the site and your willingness to work. If you are pursuing an education, engineering is overall a better discipline than geology in terms of pay and opportunities. Story 112. Real estate. 30,000, 80,000, 120,000, 162,000, 200, 000 plus. 18 years in corporate and executive management. It's challenging to get started, but I love it. Story 113. Finance. I started as a writer at an investment firm and then became a compliance analyst before advancing to a managerial position. I earn approximately $85,000. Story 114. Growth at a technology company. I am a software engineer who transitioned to growth to join a better technology company. I started at $70,000 and quickly moved up to $180,000 as the company grew rapidly. I also received a substantial amount of equity, which paid off when the company went public. Growth at a technology company that is already expanding is a lucrative opportunity. Story 115. That is a vague request. Many jobs start at $80,000 per year in various fields, including marketing, labor, medical, design, and retail. What truly matters is how you network, your skill sets, timing, your willingness to work hard, how you present your qualifications where you live, and most importantly, how you present yourself in a professional setting. I can offer some advice, but there are many variables that people often overlook. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.